Hey, what's happening, everybody? Robert Phoenix here. Good morning. It is 9:37. I'm in Studio A tonight, or today rather, and going to see how it goes. I think we're going to have some buffering issues, which does happen from time to time. But it's the first day really of spring. Technically 4:58 Central Standard Time. The sun last night, the sky was absolutely spectacular. No doubt aided by the crazy blazing fire, chemical fire that we're experiencing in Houston. It's been going on now since Sunday. We'll go on for another couple days. How about that? We're not even evacuating anybody out of the area. Probably not a safe thing to do if you are living adjacent or near that fire in a suburb of Houston. And it was more than one. It's a massive, massive chemical plant. Houston is really kind of a major trap in a lot of ways. It's the most bizarre city in terms of zoning, with industrial and civic and suburban and all kinds of crazy stuff all crammed together in one city. That was one of the things that came out with Harvey, was that Houston was, a place that was challenged in terms of its zoning, occupancy, and all that stuff. It hasn't changed, and probably won't until the Agenda 21, backed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and 90 other Congress people. They're backing that bill. 90 other people backing that bill. Put that in your eco-friendly pipe and smoke it. Let's check out what's going on over on YouTube. Hopefully we've got a signal happening there. And it's taking a while. Here we go. We got signal on YouTube now. What's going on? Michael says, coming to you live from windy North Palm Springs. Want to hang out this weekend. Let's see, mobile user, get used to it. Greetings all. Ian, hey Raven, what's happening? Bonnie, good morning, good morning. Christian, good morning. Rhonda, good morning, everybody. What's going on? As we all assemble, hello, Joe Dimitri. Nice to see you. I'll just check over on the other side of the world and see what's happening over here, chat-wise. Let's see, we got the chat going there. I'm trying to find chat. Chatlandia. For some reason, it is not happening over on the other side, but it's okay. These things do happen every now and then. Can't really stop it for now. Mercury retrograde. It'll be over soon. 9 days, thank God. It's not been a fun Mercury retrograde, has it? Not in the least. At least not for me. Anyway. Hey, so what do we have here? We got Kathleen. Good morning. Happy spring. I don't like Dallas or Houston. I actually like Houston. I have a perverse fascination with Houston. I'll tell you why. Houston has really good food. It has really good food. And I know a bunch of people in Houston. They're all super nice. The people in Houston are nice, I have to say. Nice folk. Nice folk. Hey, so we're going to get into the New Zealand thing a little bit. Got some other news items that I want to bring to your attention. Again, happy first day of spring. Happy spring equinox. Happy Libra moon. It is a very, very vital time. It's a time to undertake new beginnings, new efforts, new projects. Despite the fact that we are living in an increasingly technologically saturated matrix, there are still some natural cycles and natural energies that are at play, and this is one of the days where they're at their highest, they're at their peak. Planting season is upon us, and especially for you folks in the Midwest who have been dealing with the strange and bizarre polar vortexian weather and all that stuff, so which is a real bummer. I'm sorry that you guys have been going through that. We've had our versions of it down here, trust me. Know what that's like. So shall we return to the scene of the crime? New Zealand. What's happened? What happened? What didn't happen? Got a real interesting email last night from a longtime listener, and I wanted to share his expertise. His name is Pete. And Pete and I have been, we exchange emails from time to time. And I'm going to read this to you. And I'm going to get into Pete's analysis. And Pete has some background He's not just another person breaking stuff down on the internet. He's actually got some credibility. I'm going to read this to you pretty much. Verboten. I have watched the verboten Jesus Christ Church full raw footage many times now, and I've been scrutinizing it quite a bit. I quickly realized once you get over the initial shock of what you're initially expecting to see, it's easy to watch, and frankly, unbelievably stupid in many ways. I agree 100%. I sat there watching the video, and I'll tell you what I didn't get. I didn't get a sense of horror. I did not get a sense of horror. No, I didn't. Sorry. Does that make me a sociopath? I don't know. I got no horror out of that. And I think I'm a pretty open biosensor. Let's put it that way. All right, let's keep going here. Okay. I personally study and train with firearms. My twin brother is a veteran cop. And I've had some active shooter training via Coast Guard certifications while working on a maritime vessel recently. I'm not an expert by any means, but nobody has to be an expert to catch some of the epic fails in this video. The crackdown on this is so severe because anyone with a thinking mind and a pause play button can find major inconsistencies in it. This is the raw evidence, and it does not bode well for whoever screwed the pooch. I have attached the best screenshots I could. I could get to try to illustrate some of my points. I also have a theory to share. I'm gonna leave out his descriptor of that theory. In the first volley of rifle fire, which is this first image, there was clearly a magazine on the left side of the hallway underneath the picture. It was already there before we entered the building, perhaps left by the other shooters. That's correct because there were theoretically 2 other shooters there. He takes a moment to look at it briefly before entering the main room. As he moves back down the hall, he then picks it up and reloads it. 2. Missing brass and shotgun shells. Okay, this is something that people have been coming up with, is that once the shells are fired, they disappear. Let me read this. This is crazy to see with one's own eyes. Yes, it does appear that the spent casings vanish and do not adhere to the laws of physics, like bouncing off walls. Also very interesting is that some of the brass casings appear to fly out from the rifle, from all over the rifle, even appearing from above the rifle and off to the right where they eject to. This is to say some casings clearly do not exit from the ejection port. It truly looks like a video game effect where the shells are ejected close enough to the gun because that kind of appearance is good enough for the game designers. The shotgun shells in the opening salvo at the entrance are equally strange. The last 2 seem to pixelate, disappear, reappear, and shrink into nothingness. The last shell bounces off a window, but first it disappears into the window. And then the thing bounces back as nothing more than a little blip, not resembling a real shell in the slightest. Nothing is visible on the ground where it should be, where it should have come to rest. When pausing the video, they look remarkably fake and CGI, or again, like effects in a first-person shooter video game. 3. Dumb gear, shitty gear. The shotgun has a reticle sight or red dot on it. It is probably there to make it look tactical and intimidating. Generally impractical and necessary in a shotgun, which is not a precision weapon. The shotgun is it's a broadband saw, is what it is. It's the chainsaw of firearms. Unless he is using slugs, which have better ballistics. About the windshield, there would be no particle blowback with slugs. When he drops a shotgun, the sight falls right off. I can't say this wouldn't happen, but it is mounted on a Picatinny rail, that jib metal feature on the top of the gun used for fixing sights and lights. And this setup should be a lot more robust than that. The sight usually mounts with small screws, metal on metal. For it to fall off like that makes me think it's just a cheap prop. The same thing goes with the tactical strobe light on the AR. In the middle of the main room, it simply falls off. Did he use tape? Not with that kind of money gear. The light would never fall off like that. Another prop, besides having a flashing strobe, only serves a purpose in darkness to disorient an opponent. It is overkill and adds to the kind of orgy of evidence we have seen before with the Las Vegas Armory Suite and the Pittsburgh tattooed with Trump stickers van, by the way. By the way, all these features, like the 60-round drum magazine used in the beginning, will be on the gun control chopping block now. 4. Pre-dead bodies. I agree with you that most, if not all, the bodies were already dead or staged before the shooter entered the main area. This is absolutely obvious. They couldn't have all been plain dead, and he couldn't have caused those casualties before getting there. And why does he not investigate any other rooms? His activity is strictly limited to the main room and the hallway. He wanders awkwardly back and forth between these two areas, dropping mags with ammo in them, picking them back up and using them randomly. He ignores live targets in other rooms. A very interesting image is when he is facing the pile of bodies on the right side of the main room coming from the hallway. There is a man lying there in a blue shirt that appears to be missing half a head. Not a blown up head, but literally missing half his head. From the nose, ears up. Very strange and fake looking. He is lying on top of the person behind him, so his head is not covered by that body. See for yourself. Blanks, I'm conflicted at this point. There appears to be no visible damage or bullet holes anywhere in the walls. But the quality of the video is poor, another questionable aspect. So I can't be certain about that. Despite the disappearing shell casings, there does seem to be clear evidence of ballistic effects on the human targets he is shooting at. The reaction of people being shot definitely indicates some cause and effect. Maybe some of his ammo were blanks and some were not. My theory: we have had first-person shooter video games since the dawn of Doom. These days we have virtual reality and augmented reality technology. I have been seeing my friends show me shit on their phones where you can engage with quasi-realistic beings, adversary scenarios which are superimposed onto the screen. Shooting at TIE fighters and hunting dinosaurs and crap. Elements of physics, causation, overlaid right into a live video in your living room. A mix of real and not real. What kind of headset, camera, program was this guy using? It was streamed live, right? I think this is augmented reality in the deliberate form of a first-person shooter game. Fakey news just got a whole lot more fucked up. They will probably ban these games too. Firearms in all forms, even digital ones, will be just disappear like the vanishing pixelating shell cases. I also find the timing of YouTube shutting down Sandy Hook videos conspiracy searches recently to be a bellwether of this event. Yes, indeed. In summation, all I can say about this is that there were more than a few moments where I said to myself, no fucking way. Given the totality of the circumstances, I am convinced that this was a problem, reaction, solution operation. We were being played for fools yet again. I hope that you find some of this information useful. If you want to know where you can find the whole video, I will tell you, but I'm reluctant to say for now because of the gravity of it all. The crackdown on this looks serious because they have fucked up big time yet again. Your friend P7. Now, I do have a copy of the video, but it's a secret lockdown, blockchain, third-party, off-planet location that nobody can access unless they've got 3 different passwords and a biometric image. Since I'm the only one with the biometric image, you can't get it. No, I don't have. I do have a copy of that video somewhere. Thank you, Pete. I think that was a great analysis. You're not the only one. Other people are coming up with that analysis. That what we're looking at here is more than likely the potential of being an augmented reality mix, right? It could be a reality mashup because things do not add up when shell casings just vanish into thin air and they appear to come out of, you know, the top part of the frame, not even coming out of the gun itself. But most people are willing to just look at the video and with their emotion switch keyed to on, they're going to fill in the blanks. This is what emotion does. This is what imagination does. It fills in the blanks. And imagination is powered by emotion. And we have been trained, keyed, and triggered so that when these events happen, we go into kind of a pre-formatted set of reactions. That's how it works. That is how it works. So let me get some feedback here from you guys in the chat room. What do we got going on here? Let's see. Shells don't hit the wall or anything else to make noise. The bill is okay. We got another bill here. What's going on? Let's see. Just so let's see what else. Shells don't hit the wall or anything else to make noise. That's right. I think the whole thing's a bunch of bullshit. I think probably the best case scenario here has to do with the fact that we're looking at, again, a staged event. I believe that most of those bodies were probably brought in. We might have a synthesis, a fusion of augmented reality, some reality, some shells that are not real, some shells which because there are shots where clearly goes into a body and you can see that there's something that happens, right? It happens. And then there's other instances where shells are fired and there's nothing in the wall. So it's quite confusing. But to me, it kind of resembles the Las Vegas event, where there was a lot of blah, 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 theoretically coming from the room in the hotel. And if there was something happening on the street level, it was being done by random shooters that were quite possibly in the crowd. Okay. Now, I do know people who work in nursing in Las Vegas, and there were people that did go to the hospital that night. So something happened in Las Vegas. What happened in Las Vegas, of course, probably wasn't the story that we've all been told. In fact, the story we've been told still has not really fully been resolved. We never found any motive for that event to take place. Just some random white guy, right? Some random older white dude. They keep running that script out. Now, who's the new hero or the new heroine? It's Jacinda-Ardent, right? Isn't that her name? Ardent? Let's just check on her name, because that's a very interesting name, no doubt, right? Let's just make sure we have the right name. Jacinda-Ardent. Ardern. What does ardern mean? Ardern is very close to ardor, heart, ardent. Let's go ardent definition. Well, ardent, you throw a T on there. So ardent. So ardent is impassioned, fervor, jealous, wholehearted, eager, vehement, intense. The archaic or literary term is burning, glowing. So Jacinda-Ardent. Ardern. Put a T on it, it's ardent. So, very interesting. She was a DJ. Did you know that? She comes from the club circuit. She was a DJ in New Zealand. And now she's the Prime Minister. Oh boy. I guess that bodes well for Beta O'Rourke, who was in a poor man's version of Nirvana, some emo band from El Paso, right? So if New Zealand can have a former DJ as their prime, I'm sorry, it doesn't mean you can't be a DJ and be, a head of state, but I'd like to know what her qualifications are. She's a DJ. She's a club DJ. Comes out of club culture, of course. Well, yeah, I had a video. I can't show the video here, but I had a video I put up on Facebook yesterday, and DJ might stand for something else with this person. There's that. There is like deceptive junk. That's what DJ might stand for. Deceptive junk. Let's just say she's had a Michael Obama moment, and she's packing concealed weapon, right? This whole thing is weird. I mean, they got a DJ who is their prime minister, who might not even be a woman, for an event that might not even like an actual physical event, but could have been some weird hybrid of augmented reality, shells, not shells, blanks, not blanks. I mean, this is just, the whole thing is bizarre. And now we've got a video that people can't watch because, again, Sandy Hook did provide sort of the backdrop of this, meaning that you're not allowed to criticize these events. Because if you criticize the events, well, you're going to make people feel terrible about themselves, or you might be considered to be a progenitor of hate. And now there's such a very strong reactionary movement towards truth that it's really just kind of it's a de facto response now. Better get used to it, unless of course the magic of Mercury retrograde does come through, and the glitches and the errors that are associated with this event begin to actually make some noise, and people begin to actually see what happened or what didn't happen in Christchurch. And hopefully we won't be on to the next one before it does happen, because we know that's what happens. Before we can assimilate, process, break down, look at this thing, there's the next thing. And now we're on to that. We haven't even allowed the other one to kind of settle and breathe. This is not uncommon. So keep your high beams on, and just understand that we're in a time now where we're going to be hit with more and more and more of these events. And the pattern now has shifted. During the Bush administration, the pattern was painting the other being the Muslims, as being the terror threat, the radical and fringe insertion into the civilized world of discourse and modern life, where we had our two-car garages and pension plans, or at least 401ks, and here comes this scourge from the Middle Ages, right? Extreme Islam. And for a long time, those events, whether it was a shoe bomber or underwear bomber or whatever, headband bomber, they conformed to that narrative, and then it shifted, and that narrative became the white guy, the nationalist, the racist, the bigot, just plain old whitey, and that's the narrative now. Is it real? Is it true? Well, if you can watch the video, you be the judge. I would say that likely not. Okay, most people now, I'm not saying all people, most people just want to get by. They want to live their lives. They want to have decent gigs, make it feel like they're not selling their soul every day in order to put food on the table, money in the bank, have a vacation once or twice a year. You get a brand new lease on a car every couple of years. That's all people really want. They want their kids to be healthy, and they want to have their kids have a shot in whatever world they're going to inherit. Well, I think that model is pretty much gone. I think that model is burning on the side of the road. Right? It's like a car who's just completely overheated, and the engine is burning on the side of the road. We don't really have that model anymore. For better or worse, and maybe a better model that comes out of it, but I think that model's over. It's done. So what do we replace it with? How do we deal with this? Well, I talk about it every day here. And yesterday I said you've got to be really engaged in unifying your consciousness. And there are some ideas and some thoughts that I have along those lines, and maybe I'll cover them in the next couple of days. But I think ultimately we're here. We're in a war. We're in a conflict. It's a spiritual war. It's a psychotronic war. It's a psychic war. It's an emotional war. There are a lot of different layers. Are we having battles and bullets flying in the streets? No. It's much more sophisticated than that at this point. But you got to be aware of it. If you're not aware of it, then just keep your head in the sand, and hopefully you'll get through it. Well, there's a lot people aren't aware of, and I'm going to bring up something here now. It's kind of a shift into another news item that you may want to be aware of, and you may want to actually think about participating in some of these events where what I'm about to share with you is actually taking place. So, this is from a website called Mass Private Eye, and it's about civil rights, homeland security, or insecurity issues. And this is from yesterday, and this is an announcement that actually came out through Major League Baseball. And I know that a lot of you, some of you, not a lot of you, some of you actually like baseball. Some of you actually enjoy going to games. I don't go to games anymore because I don't live in a market where there's actual Major League Baseball. And I don't like going to see the Rangers play in Dallas because I'm not a Rangers fan. But I did go to a Astros game last year, and I had a lot of fun. Here we go. MLB going full-blown TSA. Oh, teams prepare to scan millions of fans' faces. I hope you enjoyed America's favorite pastime because by the end of this year, nearly every Major League Baseball team will be using facial recognition. Last year, there were only 9 Major League Baseball teams using Clear's facial recognition to spy on fans. But all that is about to change. This year, MLB has decided to go full-blown TSA and put facial recognition cameras in 23 stadiums, which is just 7 shy of the entire league. According to a Business Wire article, the MLB plans to scan the faces of millions of baseball fans. The partnership will develop a first-of-its-kind collaboration of emerging technologies from Clear and Tickets.com, ultimately allowing millions of fans to use biometrics to enter ballparks, eliminating the need to present a paper or mobile ticket. It is on. It is on. Okay? It is on like Donkey Kong. All right? So what we're seeing now is we're seeing this biometric model that's being introduced into, well, not just baseball parks. It's going to be football parks, football stadiums. The New York Knicks, I believe, were using it all last season and this season. And this is to get people used to the fact that they're being spied on and surveilled all the time. Oh, but it's going to be so convenient. That gnarly little piece of paper. By the way, you know, if everybody presented that little piece of paper, that ticket every year, do you know how many tickets that is? Do you know how much paper that is? That's a lot of paper. Do you know how many trees will have to die for those tickets? Do you know how that's going to affect the ecology, the atmosphere, the climate? By going to facial recognition, we're saving all that paper, all those tickets. It is actually beneficial for the climate to be surveilled and spied upon. Get over it. Get over your puny little concerns about privacy. There's a world out there to be saved. And damn it, not printing those tickets is just another step towards allowing our children and our children's children to live in a world where they're survived and where they have the ability to move freely. Because if you have nothing to hide, then what is your concern about being biometrically scanned or profiled? Got a problem with that? Maybe thou doth protest too much. Perhaps we should go into your social media and look at some of your beliefs. How do you feel about vaccines? How do you feel about 5G? You might pose a threat. You might pose a problem. Get with the program, buddy. Let it go. Let it go. It's okay. Because it clears your conscience. Yes. By participating, by giving consent. And it's not even informed consent. But somewhere on that ticket, somewhere in the code for your face being scanned and entering into that stadium, believe it or not, you're given some level of consent. Trust me on that. It's in there. It's in the fine print with the whole thing. So, of course, it's going to translate into what happens in our airports. They've been working on this for a while. It's been international flights. Now it's moving into national flights. And they really, really, really want people to just sign off on biometrics. It's coming. It is coming. And it'll be linked to the new economy. We know this. We know this for a fact. Because when the new economy comes, what's going to happen to money? Think of all that paper. Think of all that nasty paper. Think of all the trees it'll save. Money, tickets. When they write you a ticket when you are speeding, they have to hand you a piece of paper. Those will be gone too. They'll just hold up that little thing, boop, 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 right? Scan your face. Show up in an email. Show up in a text. It's coming, absolutely coming. So, what can you do about it? Maybe you don't go to baseball games. It's quite possible. Maybe you don't go to football games. It's quite possible. Maybe you don't go and attend sporting events or concerts. Oh, now we're getting close to the bone with concerts. Is anybody really worth seeing nowadays anyway? Right? I mean, maybe there are. Maybe. But, you know, I'm kind of a fossil when it comes to music. That's not to say that there isn't modern music that is actually good. I've heard some bands yesterday I'd never heard before. Heard a new band called Black Lagoon. It was quite good. They were quite good. Doesn't mean that people aren't making good music, but you're not going to hear it on mainstream radio. You're not going to hear it on stations that are, you know, pumping out the hits. Not unless you like auto-tune. All right, let me check in with you guys in the chat room, see what's going on here. Okay, what do we have here? We got Paula. Hey, Paula, what's happening? Implied consent. That's right. Hey, there's the Beebster. What's happening? Michael says, I am a threat. Come here. I was told when you look directly at your phone, your profile is already digitally recorded. Is that true? Well, I think they've been digitally recording your profile on Facebook. That's one of the things that Facebook has worked on. All those pictures that you post on Facebook, they're part of their scanning database, right? Facial recognition. Future crime, Ian just brought that up. Yeah, pre-crime, of course, all that is coming. You know, the profiles, the social. But listen, I'm going to tell you right now, this thing is not fully baked. It is not written in stone. I know a lot of people think it is. It is not written in stone. And, you know, number one, yeah, we are becoming more aware. Number two, there are forces in this universe that, this can go two ways. Number one, to let it all happen so that ultimately, like that raging fire down in Houston at some point, toxic, deadly, yep, it'll burn out. It's the nature of it, right? It's the nature of it. And at the same time, there is this counterbalance, this cosmic counterbalance that takes place. You see it all the time. See it all the time. Is it enough to offset, you know, what these cretins are doing? We'll see. We'll see. One of the things that I think is, at the very least, hopeful is that people are catching on faster and faster and quicker, which is why they are not allowing this video to be disseminated, because they don't want people to see the glitches in their production, and there are literal and figurative glitches. And sometimes these things will get resolved with doing without doing, you know, as part of the time we're living in. Just notice that. Just keep your eyes on that. You'll see things. You'll see events. You'll see people. Like, again, you know, this guy Morris Dees from the Southern Poverty Law Center was untouchable for years. You know, he and his buddy, what is his name, Potok, or they've been the scourge of free speech. They've helped create and foment this environment that has to do with demonizing certain people, certain identities, certain ideologies, which for all intents and purposes should not be demonized. They've got their list. He's gone now. He's gone. He's off the team. He's off the team. Why? Because he did stuff that he should not have been doing with people he shouldn't have been doing it with. There's harassment laws. There's a bunch of stuff that could come out against this guy, and he was one of the scourges of the far left and creating this ongoing kind of program of hate and fear on the other side of the spectrum. He's out. He's out. We'll see these things happen. Trust me, they will happen. We will see truth prevail at certain moments in time. You just have to pay attention and notice it. Does it mean we're going to be out of the woods on this thing? No. I think we're right thick in the middle of it. We're watching, a lot of what we have created become part of this deconstruction. Right? We're in a deconstruction phase. And this is what I've been talking about for a while. And it would have happened with Hillary too. It's just part of where we're going. So it's all good. Don't worry about it. Just do your best to live your life. Be right. Be right with God within you and your Most High and the Most High, and stay clean with your soul. Do your best to stay clean and clear with other people. Stay creative. You take a page out of Chris Crimey's book. Create beauty when you can, where you can. That's being a disruptive agent. Don't allow the ugliness or the upside down nature of the world to dominate your consciousness. When you can, take a stand, get involved. If there's something you can do, and it's the right thing to do, don't be a bystander. Don't look back and say, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or if I put my energy here, we might have been able to do something. If you feel called to do it, do it. Right? Find other people that you can connect with, people that share a similar vision. Find support. You're not alone in this world. This is not something that we're all just kind of stranded on our desert islands. We know we do have different points of consciousness. We are located in different parts of the world or different parts of the planet. Doesn't mean we're not connected or united in our desire to live in a better world, our version of a better world. And for me, again, I'll just state it. I want to get as organic and clean and clear as possible. Fluoride out of the water, chemtrails out of the sky, 5G out of the atmosphere, vaccines out of the medical system, GMOs out of our food. I think it's really basic and fundamental. What would happen if we had a world like that? What kind of beings would emerge out of a world like that? It'd be really interesting, I think. We might not need AI and all the other crap that's being developed and proposed so we can, break on through to the other side, reach superhuman heights of some kind of awareness. I'm not going to say consciousness. We might develop organically. And as a result of that, we could all come online in really big ways. But they don't want that. not in the least. They want mediated humans. Speaking of mediated humans, I'm going to be posting over on Facebook today an hour-long documentary I watched last night, and I believe it's essential viewing for people, and it really gives you an up-close and personal look at the catastrophe of a certain type of governance in how it's unfolding and the living conditions that it's creating. Now, I wasn't aware that Tucker Carlson referenced this video. I found out about that later as I was scrolling through the comments. But the video is called Seattle is Dying. And it is a really intense video. I lived in Seattle for about a year, and then I lived in Olympia for close to 2 years, so I've got some ties to the Pacific Northwest. And I remember the first day I went to Seattle, got off the plane, got up on top of that city on Cap Hill, looked down on the Puget Sound, and I thought, it was a nice day. Springtime day. I thought, oh my God, look at this place. Look at this place. This place is amazing. Seattle on that day stole my heart. And I wanted to live there because it was so... There was an element of Seattle that was civilized, but also wild. Like the elements in the you know, like the bay in San Francisco, pretty much dead. But the Puget Sound is not dead. I mean, there's like fish and all kinds of stuff going on there. And not only that, but there is a very kind of strong overlay of Native American culture and spirituality in that part of the world, especially when you get to the Olympic Peninsula. Very, very powerful. Anyway, I fell in love with the city. I moved there. I had a iffy time there in the city, but it was a beautiful place. And I watched this video, and oh my God, it's like a horror film, an absolute horror film. And I highly recommend that when you watch the video, either during the video or after, read the comments on the video. I'm going to see if I can even put a link here in the chat room so you guys can, at the very least, it's there. It is a really, really powerful video. And I'll just do this. Give me one sec here. And it is not Seattle. Seattle is not alone in the degradation and decay that is being... Give me 1 second here. The degradation and the decay that is being fostered by the people that run the city. And it's like, well, why is that? Why are they doing this? It's because they want Western civilization to collapse. Plain and simple. Here we go. Here we go. Throw that in there. If you guys want to see what's happening to one of our great American cities, there it is. Check it out. Charles says, I'm questioning whether truth and common sense will prevail. The enemy seems powerful. Of course they seem powerful. I'll tell you right now, they're not shit. Okay? That's what they want everybody to believe. That's what they want, you know. Do they stoop to tactics that are psychopathic and sociopathological? Absolutely. Because they do things that quote-unquote normal people won't do or entertain. So we're not playing with two sets of rules. But once you understand that, once you see what's going on, well, at least you have some better footing there. Anyway, I highly, highly, highly recommend you guys check that video out. It's a really, really good video. Fub says, I watched the Seattle movie, moved there in '89. No place more beautiful. Fub, that's when I was there. I was there in '89 too. Heartbroken. Absolutely. Michael says, I used to go up to Washington a lot. Exactly. But you know exactly what you're talking about. It's true. Don't let your place become Seattle. I think that's the lesson here. And in Seattle, there's this one scene in that documentary where this was in Ballard, which is just Seattle has these like little districts, like Maple Leaf and Green Lake and Ravenna. Ballard is one of them, and Ballard is probably the most related to the Swedish community, and there are a fair amount of Swedes in Seattle. And that was my experience with Ballard when I lived there. I didn't live too far from Ballard. Anyway, that Ballard still is part of the overall structure of the city and the county. And they had a meeting, and these people in Ballard were just completely incensed about what's going on with the environment, with the people, with the homeless situation. And the council was sitting there, and they were smirking. Absolutely smirking. And they said, well, if you got a problem, just call 911. And then they talked to the cops. Cops can't do anything. Cops' hands are tied. The recidivism rate is off the charts. Off the charts. They looked at people and how many times they've been arrested since 2014. They were upwards of, 25, 30, 40 arrests. Think about that. So what happens? They get processed, and they get sent right back out to the street. There's like this deep enabling that's taking place, and it is not. It is not out of some misguided sense of compassion. No. This is a group of people who have been weaponized and turned against the city and the culture of the city. And what happens? People move. They leave because they realize they can't do anything. And so what you have is you have the problem getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, until finally what will happen is that these cities will potentially collapse from decay from within. It's happening in San Francisco. It's happening in Seattle. It's happening in Portland. These are all once great cities. Portland, was this really beautiful up-and-coming city. They're succumbing to the same things. And if you look at the leadership of San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland, they're all the same. They're all the same. I hate getting into the left, right, liberal stuff, but you just look at their leadership model, and it's clear. It's clear that they are leftist, progressive, socialist leadership, or lack thereof. That's what their role is. Their role is to go in and destroy these cities. That's what their role is. Their role is to turn these once great cities into third world zones for a number of reasons. They are the frontline soldiers for demoralization. They are the useful dupes, although in some cases I don't think they're very dupey. I think in some cases they know exactly what they're doing, and they're involved in a deeply satanic putsch. This is what they're doing. And if you can't see it, you can't notice, you don't understand it, watch this show for a while. Maybe you'll pick something up. This is all part of the awakening. And if you value where you live, wherever it is, you may want to get involved. Because these other people, they got involved. They got moved along, pushed along. They got promoted, and most of them have very little experience, no real understanding about ethics, no real understanding about any of the classic kinds of ideas of thought, any classics around philosophy. They have no understanding. They don't care. They have a whole different agenda, and they have a whole different training module. What is it? We covered it with Steve and Chris. Right? It's critical theory. It's the Frankfurt School. This is the manifestation of the intense efforts of the Frankfurt School to basically erode Western civilization. Now, you have to remember that the Frankfurt School became popular during the era of the Weimar Republic in Germany. And the Weimar Republic is the interim government that was taking place between World War I and the rise of the Social Democrats, right? AKA Hitler and the Nazi Party. If you look at the Weimar Republic and you look at what was happening, what was taking place there, it was filthy. It was filthy. The inflation was sky high thanks to the reparations and the Treaty of Versailles. There was, alcohol use, rampant alcohol use, prostitution. There were theaters that were beyond burlesque. Live sex on stage. I mean, it was really a very dark period for Germany. And why? Because they've been demoralized. They've been demoralized by World War I. And this culture, or lack thereof, was raised in the ashes of a country that was completely and thoroughly again, demoralized is the word I would come up with. So if you look at Seattle, it is like the freaking Weimar Republic. You go to San Francisco, same thing. And this is the environment that the Frankfurt School came out of. The Weimar Republic. Frankfurt. I've been to Frankfurt. Creepy. Dark. Frankfurt has really dark energy. Frankfurt Airport. That thing goes on forever. Yeah. Anyway, watch the video. Maybe some of you actually live in Seattle. Maybe some of you live in an American city where you're seeing this taking place. It's not pretty. And our country and our way of life and the things that we have held dear to us are being snatched right up from under us. And we're awake now. The question is, what are you going to do with it? All right, I'm Robert Phoenix, and you've been listening to 15 Minutes of Flame, which lasted about an hour. Thank you, one and all, for chiming in. I have to go back and check out the chat to make sure that it had some traction over there on 15 Minutes of Flame and the site. It is the spring equinox, and even though I might have been a deliverer or a messenger of some darker material today, don't let that deter you from celebrating today. Find something good. Find something whole. Find something sacred. Find something beautiful that you can share with another person. Let us celebrate the return of the light here in the Northern Hemisphere. And for our friends down below, the southern part of the world, it is time for you to take a nice rest, a well-deserved rest, as your cycle begins to move towards abundance and harvest. Ours is just beginning. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to say what is possible. I'll be Robert Phoenix. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully 9 a.m. Got a little bit of a late start today. Just always check between 9 and 9:30. I'm here. You're here. Tell your friends. If you enjoy this, it's kind of a good way to start the day. Let them know. Have them come on over. And you can always come over to the 15 Minutes of Flame site if you don't want to participate in the YouTube world. It's there. Have a great day.